People who have to get up at a less than perfect time. Newsday, now at 5:30 on KYW3. News, weather, traffic. No waiting.
John F. Kennedy Jr. Exposed. The author behind a shocking book tells all, exclusively on the next entertainment night.
Monday night at 7. This is KYW-TV, Philadelphia. This is the news tonight with Beverly Williams. First weather with Craig Weber and Lou Tilley on sports. And now, the news tonight.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Beverly Williams. Our top story tonight, the incredible 1993 Phillies season has come to a dramatic end, and with it, hopes of winning the World Series have been scrapped. It was like a scene out of a movie. The Blue Jays were losing in the bottom of the ninth, but Joe Carter stepped up to the plate and nailed a game-winning home run. It's only the second time in history that the World Series was won on a home run, and the Toronto Blue Jays are the first back-to-back champions since 1977. Even though the Phillies lost, the city is still proud of its National League champions. KYW3's Carol Erickson was at the airport when the team came home.
Without belaboring the point, it went right out of the stadium and sent the Phillies home a day earlier than anyone here wanted to see them. The boys of Indian Summer jetted back to a homecoming crowd so small that airport officials were trying to beef it up at the last minute with broadcasts of the arrival time.
All season long, people cheering for the Phillies, and then all of a sudden now, just because they lost, nobody's here. I just think it's a shame.
Manager Jim Fergosi, first off the plane, led a subdued bunch of world-class athletes who had little to say, except for Larry Anderson's humorous spin on the obvious.
We're number 2.
Conspicuously absent from the plane and brief arrival ceremonies, Mitch Williams, who's received death threats for his last pitch.
He wasn't with the team. He flew immediately to Texas. He's pretty down, and scared.
That's a shame that somebody got to fly to a different place because they have fear of coming back to Philadelphia.
Obviously, you weren't the ones that want to kill Mitch, so it's good to have you here. Thanks for everything.
It was fun, and I can't wait till next year, so we'll see you out at the stadium.
But within 10 minutes of landing, the players apparently couldn't wait to get on the buses, leave baseball behind temporarily, and end the '93 roller coaster. The official word on any official ceremony for the Phillies? Well, this may be it. Only 7 of the players live here in the off-season. The others will be long gone by Monday morning. Why not a big celebration?
Because they don't want it. The team doesn't want it, and the players don't want it.
It can't get much simpler. After a great season, the Phillies are out of here. Carol Erickson, the news tonight.
In Toronto, the champs are celebrating their World Series victory. The triumphant Blue Jays entered the Sky Dome one by one during a procession of chauffeured cars. Over 60,000 fans were on hand to cheer them on. The back-to-back champions showcased their winning trophy. Most of the players were gracious winners, but pitcher Todd Stottlemyre had a message for Mayor Ed Rendell. Rendell reportedly bragged that he could hit one of Stottlemyre's best fastballs.
I got one message for the mayor of Philly, and I hope you're out there looking. You can kiss my ass.
Well, after the outspoken Blue Jays pitcher said he said, quote, "I guess I'll never play for the Phils." Coming up, complete post-game coverage of the series. Lou Tilley joins us in just a few minutes with First Sports. And in other news, plenty of people in Philadelphia had their eyes toward the skies this afternoon. It was a plane, 2 of them actually. 2 low-flying C-141 military planes circled the city side by side for about an hour today. KYW3 was besieged with calls from people wondering what they were doing. The planes were from McGuire Air Force Base. They were taking pictures of each other with the city as a backdrop. The FAA approved the flight pattern over the city. In Delaware County, a man accused of beating and locking his son in chains is scheduled to appear in court for a preliminary hearing on Thursday. 37-year-old Michael Halfpenny allegedly chained his son inside of this Clifton Heights home for 2 days. Lugging a 25-pound weight, the 15-year-old yesterday managed to drag himself, bruised and crying, to the police station located across the street from his home. He was released to his mother, who is divorced from the father. The father says that the boy had disciplinary problems. The final hurdle to labor peace has been cleared at the Inquirer and Daily News. Workers who assemble the paper in the mailroom and who drive the delivery trucks voted today to accept the contract tentatively agreed to 2 weeks ago. But many of them say they're still unhappy. There was even a move to start their own paper, but that idea was shot down. The governor's race in New Jersey is entering the home stretch. This morning, the candidates faced off in their third and final debate, broadcast here on Channel 3. They fielded questions from KYW3's Larry Kane. The political punches were flying. New Jersey correspondent Dick Standish reports.
It was their last chance at each other face to face.
The governor has such great respect for the truth that he uses it so infrequently.
Punch and counter-punch.
Mrs. Whitman violated the federal election laws. This is not speculation. That's been already determined.
The governor arrived at Rockefeller Plaza with a fragile lead with just enough voters forgiving or forgetting his tax increases. Remember when blared out as Christy Whitman arrived. She hoped people would remember when he raised taxes. She went inside to question his integrity.
It's situations that he finds his administration in, with 2 grand juries investigating the administration, a Securities Exchange Commission investigating for bond dealing.
The grand jury is a heck of a word. What does that mean? What's going on here?
Well, it doesn't mean anything in the sense that...
KYW3's Larry Kane pressed Florio, who said neither he nor his allies had been charged with anything, and it was Whitman who had a problem.
I mean, she is the one that's been found guilty of violating the law, for hiring illegal aliens.
Florio also said he has again talked to the Sixers about moving to a new South Jersey arena. Whitman favored attracting sports teams with tax breaks. It was tricky for both of them here in the studios. He had to be basically Gentleman Jim, score but not appear to be bullying her. She had to be, in essence, Lady Christine, not shrill, not nagging, but strong enough to be governor.
This was truly a clash of ideals, of issues, and of personalities, and they had no problem with each other at the end. They knew it was business, and they took care of it.
As they left, they heard news of a fresh newspaper poll showing Whitman closing to just 5 points behind before the debate.
5 points within the statistical margin of error. I'm going to win this thing.
It's going to be a close, tight race. It'll be right down to the end.
Just 1 week out from Election Day, the Jersey brawl is tightening. Dick Standish, the News Tonight.
KYW3 will bring you complete coverage of the upcoming elections November 2nd with anchors Bruce Hamilton and Jennifer Ward and analysis by Larry Kane. In the nation, science is taking a dramatic step toward human reproduction. Researchers have discovered a way to split human embryos into identical twins and even triplets. The discovery was made as researchers were trying to create more embryos for in vitro fertilization. The new cloning has sparked ethical debates about duplicating human beings.
The other dramatic element, of course, has to do with what it does to our conception of ourselves as individuals, as unique personalities, and whether we think that in time there'll be copies of ourselves running around the streets in something like the way that we've been seeing in science fiction films all these years.
Other medical and ethical implications, cloning as a way to get perfect match donor organs. The embryos duplicated were a few abnormal cells that couldn't develop into humans. The man accused of masterminding the World Trade Center bombing is getting a luxurious prison cell. It will cost taxpayers $12,000 to build it. Sheikh Omar Abdul Rahman will live in a 2-room jail suite complete with its own bathroom and conference room. Rahman requested a transfer from an upstate New York facility to a Manhattan prison to be closer to his lawyers while awaiting trial. Prison authorities cite security reasons for building the luxurious suite. In the world, exiled Haitian President Jean-Bertrand Aristide is refuting a CIA report that refers to him as mentally unstable. The exiled Haitian president was a guest at Congressman Joseph Kennedy's wedding yesterday. He posed with the wedding party. The CIA report says Aristide suffers manic depression. He is due to return to Haiti by next weekend under a UN-brokered agreement, but American officials say it's not likely that deadline will be met by the Haitian military now in power. Sanctions against Haiti are expected to continue until the Haitian military meets UN demands. Gasoline is in short supply there. 3 U.S. oil distributors in Haiti have stopped delivering gasoline to the local stations. The worldwide oil and arms embargo went into effect last Monday. At Fort Benning, Georgia, it was an emotional homecoming for soldiers returning from the embattled capital of Somalia. 70 troops from the 3rd Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment arrived today. A total of 232 troops have returned to Fort Benning since Friday. Right now, it's time for First Weather. Here's Craig.
What a day, what a day.
Beautiful day.
What a weekend.
Yes.
Monday looks good, too. Surprised?
Yes, I am. I thought it was going to rain.
Yeah, usually when I come in on Sunday nights, say Monday, first part of the week, down the tubes. But we're going to hold off till Wednesday to give you that kind of a day. So let's take a look at what's going on as you're heading off to work to make the millions, as we do. And the rush hour, fair sky, a bit chilly, 49 degrees. Last night's low was 41. We should go to around 45 tonight. Around midday, mostly sunny, light breeze, mild, just a great fall day. 64 degrees can be expected. Then a few more clouds are going to move in as you're heading home, but nothing really to worry about. Partly cloudy and mild, 68 degrees can be expected. The problems will start popping in here probably for Tuesday afternoon. We'll get into those coming up shortly. We'll have the work week forecast as you head off to make those millions. Beth?
Thanks, Craig. From First Weather to First Sports, here's our traveling man, Lou Tilley. Good job in Toronto.
And trying to force a smile tonight. Hey, at least they cooperated with the weather. We came back to sunny skies today anyway, because otherwise it was a pretty cloudy weekend. Just back from Toronto, where the Phillies closed in on the summit of baseball's highest peak, but Toronto plays king of the hill and sent the Broad Street Bellies, as they called them, packing. We're going to hear from the Phillies skipper in a few minutes as they come back to Philadelphia and take a long look at their short man in Sports Wrap coming up at 11:30. You don't want to miss that. The Eagles get a much-needed day off today, but still some great action from the NFL, and the Sixers and Washington Bullets both looking for their first preseason win. I'll have the full rundown coming up in the sports in just a few minutes, Beverly, and it is nice to be back.
Good. Wait till next year.
Yeah, I will.
Stay with us on the news tonight. When we come back, it's an emergency situation. Shaken baby syndrome is claiming the youngest lives. A complete report coming up. And our very own fashion plates strut their stuff for a good cause. But first, here's a look at tonight's winning lottery numbers. More news after this.
See Lonnie Anderson's new boyfriend and meet the man accused of breaking up her marriage with Bert.
I've just been caught in the middle, that's all.
Lonnie, the men in my life, and everybody's talking about it. The cream that claims to shrink the size of your thighs, but does it really work? Hear from some women who have already tried it.
I noticed a visible difference.
Trimming the fat on Hard Copy.
Monday at 7:30 on KYW3.
Kmart introduces the new Hoover 12.5-gallon wet-dry vac with exclusive 2-tank system and 8-piece attached tool set and tank tray for $89.99. Now only at Kmart.
As expected, the shape is new and beautiful. As expected, it's quieter and has more space. As expected, there are dual airbags and anti-lock brakes. As expected, the automotive world once again revolves around one car. The new Accord EX from Honda. As expected.
U.S. Healthcare. Sometimes the best medicine of all is a good laugh.
With these in my ears, I can't hear. Look, here, try it yourself now. See that? Can you hear anything? What? Can you hear me? Huh? You can't hear anything, can you? How can I hear if you're going to put these in my ears like that? I mean, after all, I can't hear you. Got them in my ears. Huh?
I don't know what it is with you. All other husbands have their wives behind them. Napoleon had Josephine behind him. George Washington had Martha behind him. Mark Antony had Cleopatra behind him. What have I got behind me? Don't you dare!
Oh, hold me closer. Closer. Closer.
I hold you any closer, I'll be in back of you.
To Don, this gift is from Jackie. Oh, golly, oh, shucks. I hope that you like it. It costs $40.
U.S. Healthcare. A health plan for living.
The past few weeks, we have explored domestic violence. It's part of KYW3's public service campaign, Domestic Violence, A Call for Help. Tonight, we examine what the American Academy of Pediatrics now calls a serious form of child abuse, shaken baby syndrome. So far this year, it's claimed 5 young lives in Philadelphia. That's a sharp increase. KYW3's Pat Shiraki takes a closer look at shaken baby syndrome.
The sirens seem to wail a more pain-filled cry when the victim needing help is a child. They're defenseless to abuse, yet we've come to know them by name and atrocity. Sylvia Smith, starved to death. Mikey Larkin, healing from broken bones and cigarette burns. Marcia Reyes, drowned in a Delaware County creek. All young children, all victimized by their parents.
Attention, engine 19, medic 4.
And now more infants are at risk, too. Dr. Mark Jaffe works emergency at St. Christopher's, and once or twice a month, the call is for a tiny child suffering from shaken baby syndrome.
There are children who suffer shaking-type injuries, who suffer permanent brain damage, and there are a few babies who die from shaking.
Shaken baby syndrome can be difficult to diagnose immediately. That's because oftentimes when a child is brought into an emergency room like here at St. Christopher's, there are no external signs of injury. That's because the trauma is internal. The baby's head is clearly visible on a CAT scan. Doctors look for blood.
What you can see is the skull, and this whiteness here is a sign that there's some bleeding inside the skull that's pushing down on the brain.
Doctors also look for bleeding behind the eyes. Many children recover, but others suffer permanent brain damage, all within a moment of a parent, a friend, or a guardian losing control.
Is shaken baby syndrome child abuse in your book, or is it ignorance?
I consider it a form of child abuse. I think sometimes child abuse results from a certain degree of ignorance, but clearly this is a severe injury that an adult or caretaker is inflicting on a young child.
If you find yourself becoming angry with a crying infant, put your child in a safe place and step back. Count to 10. Call another adult with experience in handling an infant to relieve your pressure. Simple awareness can prevent a tragedy. Pat Shiraki, The News Tonight.
A moving tribute today to the 9 Philadelphia area Marines who were killed by a massive Beirut bomb 10 years ago. Families, friends, and Marines came to Penn's Landing today to pay homage to the men who died sleeping in their barracks when a terrorist car bomb exploded. The 241 Marines were part of a UN peacekeeping force. 10 years later, their families still grieve.
I don't know what a feeling it is to walk in and see all these people here remembering our sons. I mean, it just, for this incident, it just could be passed aside, but it just warms me. I don't know how Josie feels, just to see you people remembering them.
I don't understand why these young men keep going to place for kill, and it's very, I don't understand. That's very difficult.
Yesterday, national memorial services were held in Arlington, Virginia, and at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. Brave Marines and their families. Coming up next, Craig Weber with the 5-day forecast, and in sports, the 49ers provide a San Francisco treat. It's rice all around. Lou Tilley has the highlights, scores, and more coming up.
There's a lot about the new Galant that you may not know. Like being first in its class with dual airbags, standard. In fact, after Automobile Magazine scrutinized the all-new Galant, it said it may be the most car per dollar in its class. A class, we might add, that includes Accord and Camry. The all-new 1994 Mitsubishi Galant. Lease a new Galant S now for just $1,000 down and $199 a month.
Only certain women can wear red because of the way it makes you feel. Strong, powerful, incredibly sexy. Capable of revealing everything, yet compromising nothing. It's the ultimate expression of a woman.
Red by Giorgio Beverly Hills. This $84 value free with any $38.50 Giorgio fragrance purchase at Strawbridge and...
He is a purple dinosaur named Barney, and he's probably the reason this family is alive. Find out why on the next Inside Edition.
Monday at 5 on KYW3.
Used car king Ronnie Lamarck was a celebrity in New Orleans, but when he dumped his wife for a new model, did she hire a hitman to get revenge on the next current affair?
Monday at 5:30 on KYW3.
All of these children have
have one thing in common. All of them were unplanned pregnancies. Pregnancies that could have ended in abortion. But their parents toughed it out, listened to their hearts, and discovered along the way that sometimes the best things in life aren't planned. Life, what a beautiful choice.
Did you know some heart attacks never cause chest pain? Jefferson has developed a 40-page guide to help you recognize symptoms of cardiac problems and to find quality in your treatment and care. What's interesting is it discusses what to look for when you're choosing your cardiologist and hospital for treatment. It contains statistics confirming Jefferson's quality, as well as practical advice on prevention. To receive your free copy, call 1-800-JEFF-NOW.
Time for the complete weather forecast, including the 5-day outlook. Here's Craig. Sunny skies.
Oh, great. We had a great weekend. And really, tomorrow, we're going to see a pretty nice Monday as well. And we mentioned before, it's kind of strange, because usually after a nice weekend, we find Monday's kind of rainy. But we're going to find a pretty nice one. 48 degrees up towards the Poconos. A few clouds hither and about. Partly cloudy sky there in Allentown. Wilmington, mostly cloudy, 51. 53 northeast Philly, and mostly cloudy there as well. Along the coastline sections of Atlantic City, 50 degrees and mostly cloudy as well. Independence Mall, Fifth and Market, partly cloudy sky as we speak, 54 degrees. And 54 on the humidity as well. South winds out of the south rather at 8, and the barometric pressure right now holding steady. Now here's the satellite picture, and here's this high. This one has given us a kick your heels kind of weekend, a dandy weekend. At any rate, it's still planted right over the top of us, and will remain at least for the next, let's say 10 to 12 hours, eventually moving towards the east. There's another front that's over the Great Lakes extending north and east, and because this high is not moving, that frontal boundary you see up there will come down into our neck of the woods. And it really won't do diddly, so to speak. We're going to see maybe some clouds, and there might be some isolated showers over the extreme northern sections of the state. As far as the whole week, we usually do this on Sunday nights. The upper air right now is in what we call a zonal flow. Weather just kind of moseys from west to east. Now, in the next 72 hours, as we check the upper air, we're going to see a dip in the upper air. With that in mind, cold air can come this far south now. Of course, warm air comes up from the south heading towards the north. And as it's slanted in this fashion here, it'll draw up moisture now from the Gulf and also from the Atlantic. So we're going to see moisture, starting to combine and come up into the mid-Atlantic states for the next, probably, let's say Wednesday. Probably Tuesday night we could start seeing some showers. And the 5-day rains as we look at those. Where it rains the next 5 days, this is where the heavy rains will be, all along the eastern seaboard. So, to do a little deducing, it looks like some of that mess will be coming into our neck of the woods, could produce some heavy rains. It's going to be dry right over the nation's belly button. And up over the northern plains, we're going to see moderate conditions there. All right. As far as temperatures for tonight, we're going to see probably temperatures in the 40s in our area. 50s now tomorrow north of this front, and this front will be right to the north of us. We'll be in the south side picking up 60s, and we'll see the sun out. Should be a pretty nice time. We'll see some rain, of course, coming up from the south and from the west probably for Wednesday. For lows tonight, generally in the 40s all along our area throughout the northeast. We'll see 50s down over the Carolinas. And the forecast, fair sky, a bit cool. Southwest winds tonight at around temperature of 45, which is up around 4 degrees from last night. So for tomorrow, we're going to see a few clouds in the sky, 69. Enjoy the day. Tuesday afternoon, we'll start seeing some showers. It'll start clouding up Tuesday morning. Wednesday and Thursday, gee, there could be washouts and cool days as well. Then 57 for Friday, but at least we'll see the sun again, right? Have a good, safe week. Here's Bev.
Thank you, Craig. Lou Tilley just arrived in the studio. Sports is coming up next. We'll be right back after these messages.
In just 1 year, something happened to 640 million pounds of chemical pollutants. Instead of becoming waste, they were captured for recycling. The members and partners of the Chemical Manufacturers Association, working for change.
The Seville SLS is a new driving force, but you can handle it with the new power of a smart lease. Seville SLS creates a higher standard with the North Star system. At its heart and soul is the response of a 270 horsepower V8. And now Cadillac Smart Lease puts a new Seville SLS within your grasp for $539 a month for 24 months with $2,170 down. See your Cadillac Super Network dealers.
There's a history of cancer in my family. That's why I'm taking part in a national study to prevent cancer at my hospital. It's a member of Fox Chase Network.
Experts at Fox Chase Cancer Center team up with network partners to provide access to the latest in cancer research, prevention, and treatment. Giving you the best in cancer care close to home is what Fox Chase Network is all about.
partnership's working for me.
For your nearest network hospital, call 800-639-0600.
Hey, genius, can I get my airline tickets?
Oh, look, we're going to need you to pitch in on that budget analysis.
You know, I'd love to, but I'm on the road at the Hyatt.
Okay. Mr. Dennis, I can call the Hyatt and they can get you a computer. And an in-room fax machine so you can do all the work you need to do right there.
Gee, thanks, Liz.
Great. I'll tell him you're in.
I'll be on that first plane out in the morning.
I booked you on the red eye.
Hyatt, we thought of everything.
Time now for the complete sports picture. Here again is Lou Tilley. Lots of criticism of Jim Fregosi. What do you think, Ann? What do you think about Stottlemyre's comment?
Stottlemyre, he distinguished himself about as well as a guy named Bert Hooton with the Dodgers in the '77 playoffs, which is to say not at all. So he didn't back it up on the mound, but he did get the trophy. As far as last night is concerned, I think I'm among a lot of people in Philadelphia that still wonder why you have to go with Mitch just because he did it for you in July. And by the way, that is the topic of our lead story in Sports Wrap tonight. We take a real in-depth look about what that was all about last night. Now, what's happening right now, and these are just aftershocks to the moment, these are just reminders that it really did end last night. The Phillies waited until this afternoon to return, and not a huge crowd here in Philadelphia, just a couple of hundred. Terry Mulholland, Dave Hollins, and John Kruk among those departing and coming back to Philly today. Darren Dalton and Mitch Williams, by the way, flew from Toronto to other destinations instead. And Jim Fregosi then spoke for the team today.
It's been a great year. I couldn't be prouder of this bunch of guys. They gave everything they had. We came up a little short. Let's improve on that next year. Thanks for coming out.
To the winners, though, the spoils up in Toronto today. I was up working all night, left at 5:30 this morning, Bev, and when I did, they were still in the streets partying from last night. And here they were back celebrating in the daylight again today in the Sky Dome, where the parade ended with the World Series trophy residing north of the border for a second year in a row. We take a long, hard look at the Phil's finale in the Sports Wrap just ahead. The football now, and the Eagles give us that time allowance as they take another bye week, another week off. We'll talk football with Daily Newsman Ray Didinger coming up in the wrap. And here's a brief look at what happened today. The Cards were the only team from the East to play today. They drew the Niners, and not their lucky number. Steve Young threw a pair of TDs to Jerry Rice, including this from 8 yards, as the Niners got out to a 28-0 lead and then hung on to win 28-14 despite a couple of late Cardinal touchdowns. Detroit got a late field goal to beat the Rams 16-13. Atlanta with the upset of the day, 26-15. You'll see highlights from all these games coming up. Green Bay beat Tampa Bay 37-14. Favre with 4 TD passes to Sterling Sharp. Buffalo wins the Battle of New York 19-10 over the Jets. And it's Cleveland with a late touchdown on a punt return by Eric Metcalf to beat Pittsburgh. Elsewhere, Miami tonight, very impressive without Marino, and Scott Mitchell leading a 41-27 win. Houston had no trouble with the Bengals 28-12, and Seattle, as you might expect, a ho-hum affair, 10-9 over New England. Sports Wrap, as we said just ahead, we take a wild look at the wild thing and the wild finish to the series last night. Ray Didinger's thought on that, the Eagles and football and the 2-minute drill, all coming up on the Sports Wrap in just a couple of minutes. The Flyers are out of here, out west. They'll pick it up again tomorrow night. And it's about time we turn some of our attention back to the Flyers with the Phillies finis for the year. Here's what's happening on ice tonight. The New York Rangers trying to snap a 3-game losing streak. Greg Gilbert to Issa Tikkanen finds the net, breaking a 2-2 tie early in the third. Mike Richter had 23 saves as the Rangers hand the Kings just their second loss in 9 games. Rangers over L.A., 3-2 was the final. Elsewhere, Washington wins at Edmonton on this night. It took overtime to do it. 3-2 was the final. We wrap it up with the Sixers, who are taking on the Washington Bullets down in Alabama, a battle of the frequently beaten in this preseason, both looking for their first win of the exhibition year. Some good signs, though, for Sixer coach Fred Carter. Sean Bradley showing some flashes. Pretty move here inside the paint for the easy 2. But the Bullets' top pick, Albert Shaney, matching him shot for shot. At last word, it was Sixers on top by 97-95 with about 50 seconds left. So that's the sports to this moment, and more on the Phillies, of course. It's our subject of our whole first block, and the Sports Wrap coming up next.
A lot of people still in shock.
You bet there are, yeah.
Thanks, Lou. Our last word tonight is fashion. Passion for a good cause, and some familiar faces as well. KYW3's Newsday anchors, Pat Shiraki, Tom LeMaine, took to the runway in high style for the 7th annual Celebrity Fashion Show at the Adams Mark Hotel. KYW3's Trudy Haynes, totally elegant. And anchorman Bruce Hamilton really socking it to him. Robin McIntosh traded in his Macintosh for this leather coat. Barbara Monaco and Craig Weber rounded out the KYW3 cast. The show benefits the Philadelphia Elwyn Center. It helps train mentally and physically disabled youngsters and adults. Well done. And that's the news tonight. I'm Beverly Williams, Tom LeMaine, Pat Shiraki, and Howard Eskin. Get your morning going with Newsday starting at 5:30. For Lou, Craig, the entire News Tonight team, stay tuned for Sports Wrap and have a terrific week.
There's nothing else like it, the special way it feels. It's like biting into an orange, right down to the peel.
Introducing new Pure Premium Grove Stand from Tropicana. It looks, smells, and tastes so much like fresh squeezed orange juice. Every sip is like biting into a fresh, juicy orange.
Like biting into an orange, right down to the peel.
New Grove Stand, the taste of fresh squeezed.